Well, with me is Angela Diffley, our foreign editor, to talk about all of this. Huge stakes then for Denmark and for Greenland going into this meeting. How do you think the two foreign ministers will be approaching this?
They are putting on a united front, which looks very solid. The Greenlandic Prime Minister yesterday, Jens Frederik Nielsen, said that if Greenland had to choose between the United States and Denmark, we choose Denmark. So loud and clear. He also said that although in the future Greenland might want to pick up its ambitions for independence, this was not the time for Greenland to be pursuing independence. So very, very clear on that. To which Donald Trump responded, well, that's their problem, which is quite extraordinary. At the beginning of all of this, Donald Trump talked about holding a referendum in Greenland to ask the Greenlanders, who would you prefer to be with? You know, well, with rhetoric like that, already in the short time since this has become a major news item, he has succeeded, it appears, in alienating the Greenlanders very significantly. Last year, before elections, 85% of them said they did not want to be with the United States. So that is the situation there. Their approach is to try really to seek some kind of deal because, frankly, they don't have much choice. You know, in the awful new reality, what America wants is all too often what America gets. And the thought of some sort of military confrontation with America is unthinkable. The worst outcome for Greenland, Denmark, would be some sort of military clash within NATO, simply unthinkable, and that would be the end of NATO. And so it seems they are exploring some kind of a deal in the hope that Donald Trump is setting the bar very high and ready to negotiate for something less. And the two big areas, of course, are security. Donald Trump has said again and again, you know, if we don't take over Greenland, then China or Russia will. So they will be saying, you know, already under the 1951 pact with the United States has pretty much carte blanche to do what it wants in Greenland, to put troops there, to increase all sorts of military activity. It has never shown much interest and has actually reduced its military presence there since the fall of the Berlin Wall. But they will be reminding them that they can get a lot and that it can be done within NATO. The other possibility is, of course, the economic wealth of Greenland, largely untapped. It has huge natural resources, rare earths, minerals. They will possibly offer concessions on extracting minerals from Greenland so that the United States can share very considerably in Greenland's wealth. That is all they have to offer.
And look, Donald Trump has given a number of reasons for his interest in Greenland. You just mentioned a couple of those there. Security, he says, is a big one. Look, do those reasons that he's offered actually add up, though?
This is the worry. They don't, in a sense. We talked just now about security. And as I said, they can drastically improve the military security of Greenland within NATO as things stand. It's possible that deal, we talked about it, you mentioned it at the top of the programme, it is likely to include Europe significantly upping its contribution to Greenland's defence, and Donald Trump can then hail that as a win as part of any deal. But the idea that it is a security threat unless it is owned by the United States doesn't seem to add up. Neither really do the economic arguments, because again, Greenland, Denmark for many years was begging international investors to try to invest in Greenland's developing mineral industry, and no one was very interested, simply because you can buy more cheaply on the global market than put money into trying to make that industry a workable fact. And so until now, Denmark has not had much luck trying to get people to invest in Greenland. So that doesn't really add up either. There is a real significant concern that this is about neither of those things, and that it is about the personality of Donald Trump and his wish to expand United States territory, to leave that as part of his legacy. I am the president that expanded United States territory. That is making America great again. Further down the line, the United States population at the moment, only 17% of Americans support this idea. And it is to be asked, and the question needs to be raised more in the United States. Long term, is it in the interests of the United States to so alienate their allies? We've had clashes in the past. Suez, of the Iraq war between NATO members. This is on another level. And very many people in Congress will be concerned about that as to whether they will make their voices heard and convince Trump. That remains to be seen,
All right, Angela Diffley, thank you very much indeed. A view there then from some of the politicians in the United States and in Greenland.